everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Clear as Mud, where we talk to game developers from all walks of life about their personal and professional journeys. I'm your host, Graham Waldrop. As always, our show is presented by Mudstack, the only asset management and collaboration tool custom built for game studios and digital artists. For more information, head over to mudstack.com. On today's show, we welcome Agata Inventio, Senior XR Designer and Design Director for FitXR. Agata takes us behind the curtain of developing games for VR and mixed reality, the challenges of dealing with people's negative preconceptions of VR, and how mixed reality could take us into a brave new future that goes well beyond entertainment. This is a real educational experience for me. I don't really know that much about VR, or I didn't even know what mixed reality was before we found Agata to talk to her, before we recorded this episode, and I was able to do a little research. So Agata is definitely an expert in this field. Her passion for mixed reality is just off the charts. I think you're really going to enjoy what she has to say and learn a lot from her. So without further ado, here's Agata. All right, so Agata, what is some really bad example of user experience that annoys you? Either some work that you've seen someone else do, maybe something you've seen outside of game design or art or anything like that. What's an example of UX that doesn't work for you?
General UX, like it could be anything. It could be like a art installation to a game to an app. I think the most annoying thing is when you hit a wall and there is nothing you can do about it. So basically, the app doesn't really give you an instruction what to do next. That's probably the most annoying in gaming and like in virtual reality for sure, because that's as my specialty, as you are in like a design environment, like an interactive space, and then you hit a wall, then there is nothing else to do really. You just have to end the experience. So that's probably the most like annoying UX thing you can find in products I work with in general. So it's probably like more important in VR and in XR in general to always give them something to do, even if like your instructions are lost somewhere along the way and something goes wrong. Like there needs to be something else to do in the meantime, or you just keep giving them like an option to move around still. So it's the disturbing of the flow probably is, yeah, I would say like this is a big no. Everything else really, you can kind of work with it, but like throwing the user off of the immersion, that's probably the end of the experience.
Yeah. I asked that because, especially for what you work on, because it's a totally different experience, I feel like, than your normal either console-based or computer-based game, because of how much more immersive it is. And you have to be a little more, I think, you have to hold the hand of the user a little bit more than I would think than on a more traditional platform. And I was playing a game at GDC that was VR, where it was like a samurai game, but you also had to climb walls. And, I'm just expecting to hit a button and climb a wall, but I had to literally like move my hands up and down to climb the wall. And it was very, very strange. And I found that to be a little frustrating, but it's just so different. I feel like it's such a different world. And there's so many ways that the experience could be interrupted, could be ruined, because we're dealing with even though VR is not really like a new medium anymore, it's still a lot more nascent than traditional platforms.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is, I currently focus on mixed reality. So this is like pretty new. Like VR is like I kind of see VR like just going inside of a medium, like you going inside of a game or a movie, uh, and an art installation. Like it could be pretty much anything, or like a 360 video, like you can jump off a plane and nothing happens, no risk. So that's the great point of VR as well. But like mixed reality is actually something new in a way that it's like very exciting to work on it, because we are currently creating like a new language of interactions. So it's almost like um, basically like a writing a new alphabet, maybe I would say. So it's not that obvious to what to do with certain tasks like in mixed reality, which is, I think it's like pretty obvious, like coming from game design, what to do in virtual reality, because it's still the same set of principles. You're just like the watching it from the
Hmm.
first person view in a way,
Yeah.
and it's spatial to a degree at least.
Can you give us an overview of how mixed reality differentiates itself from virtual reality or even augmented reality?
So basically, like, yeah, virtual reality is full immersion. Mixed reality is mixed immersion. And so mixed immersion, it basically means that you can interact with both physical and virtual objects. And the boundary between them is not obvious. So my personal opinion, I think that the boundary should be undetectable in a way. Um, so you can interact with the world that is layered, but you're not really aware of it 100%. Like, it's not intrusive to the
Hmm.
user. So you can go through your whole day and use different things, like even use different stuff, like do certain actions, like, like complete your task or whatever, like have some fun, like play something, and you don't really know exactly like when is the time that you cross the boundary, like from virtual to physical, which
Hmm.
is like, this is like fascinating, seriously, and like endless possibilities, really. Like, I mean, like we have to think about like what can be built, but with enough time, like you can kind of build almost anything, but we don't have the time, so that's the problem. And then if you go to AR, it's basically the virtual parts are layered on top of reality, but you don't really mix them together. So it's like, the most famous, like Pokemon Go, they're just like on top of your room or your garden. Yeah. So
Right,
it's like
right.
they don't really, yeah.
So it
Um
still requires that. It still requires a headset,
it requires some kind of headset.
some
Yeah.
kind of headset. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I can show it now because I'm not under an NDA anymore. So this is the new Pro that just came out like last week. But I had it for like 5 months because of this is a dev kit.
Hmm.
That's why the sticker. It doesn't have the sticker if you buy it. It's like all clean and nice. So it's actually, I wanted to kind of touch on it quickly,
Sure.
that why this new device is actually really good, even if everyone is like set on memeing Meta into oblivion, um, and basically just focusing on the bad parts, which they are bad parts, but like this device is legit, like really good. And I'm not obligated to say it, um, as a partner, but uh like it is really good. It's actually like, when I first changed from um and this is really important for mixed reality and like what's coming, because this is what the whole industry is like really hung up on right now, like mixed reality everything. Like everyone I work with is basically just mixed reality is the thing we want to invest in. Like mixed reality is like the next big thing for many different reasons, but there are like a couple of main reasons. And this device is like the first like mainstream accessible device that actually like has a library of software, because we had this episode in 2016 with HoloLens. There is still a couple of different headsets that's actually like really doing a great job, but this is like optimized for a mass market needs in a way that the other ones are not. And when I changed from Quest 2, which is like the normie headset, like everyone has it, let's say,
Hmm.
this this is like the next stage. And it's the first thing you notice, it's like very comfortable to wear it.
Yeah, it looks a lot
So
smaller. Looks a lot smaller
yeah,
than
like
the
look at
traditional
that.
Oculus and
I I
other
can't put it on
headsets.
the headphones, sorry, but yeah, it's just yeah, doing well. Yeah, but I think it's a success, even if it's like quite expensive. It's like 3 times more, 4 times more expensive than the previous version. But well, if you want to touch a little bit on the strategy, why this, why now, and like what's the whole plan to actually launch something so expensive, and it's the pro part of it, which is quite interesting because I think like the huge part of it is actually mixed reality and productivity. Um, and I also wanted to touch a little bit on um, what I think maybe it's and we can discuss it because my opinion, but I'm really biased, obviously.
Yeah,
Um, so I will be always probably too positive about this stuff and like judge it too positively. But the whole strategy with this thing is um, to basically like um, take over the market as soon as possible with something that will be used every day, preferably instead of a laptop. So this is not a gaming device, not like a entertainment device.
right.
It's supposed to be like an everyday. Like you're supposed to basically put your laptop away and use this.
Yeah. So this kind
Um,
of like reminds me of have you seen Minority Report, the old movie with Tom Cruise?
yeah,
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Minority Report where he's got the things on his hands, he's got the headset, he's moving things around the screen, but he's still there, but the screen is like in the world. I mean, that's kind of what I know. It's not an exact translation, but it sort of reminds me of that. And I think too, right? If you're trying to make something like this, right? I don't think it can be just like you're saying. It's not like for entertainment only. It can be the goal should be to be able to use it productively as well. And I think it's interesting to think about how you can do that, right? And it must be exciting working on something where you really have a chance to break new ground.
oh yeah, I mean there is like an underlying a battle of huge corps, like huge tech corps in right now, for the ownership of the buzzword alert metaverse. Uh, and well, Meta did something really ballsy because they went all in, and it might be like, I mean, it's very risky because the name change, and the obviously the stock price dropped dramatically, and people don't really trust that this is
Yeah.
going to go. And like a very interesting way to think about it is compare it to Apple, what Apple does, because we kind of like hear this thing that, oh, the headsets from Apple are coming out. There will be a headset from Apple, and it's not coming out so far, and I don't think it's gonna be this year, most likely. So how Apple does it, like how, because they actively fight Meta in a way. I mean, yeah, they all fight each other, the big tech corps, but there was this thing, and I think that's what launched this huge rebrand from Meta, that Apple basically took away the metadata access from Meta, like Instagram, WhatsApp,
Mm.
and Facebook. And so, um, the advertising possibilities dropped like really bad because the Apple devices wouldn't allow to collect information. And
Hmm.
I think this is something underlying there. Like this is it's probably like a little bit of a start to this, like this competition for metaverse. Like they're splitting,
Yeah.
and this is like my opinion, at least. Like it's just what I think, but it's quite interesting to see like the big tech giants approach it in like a completely different way, because Apple is very cautious. Like they will drop a headset for sure, but it's gonna be probably like mixed reality only, with some options for virtual, full virtual, but it's mainly is going to be like MR, AR, focused on like mixed reality and mixed
Hmm.
world, not virtual. And it's gonna be interesting to see like how it's going to go. Right now, like the language we're building, the most advanced place that mixed reality is being built is probably Meta's presence platform. So Meta's still winning, but it's going to be like the next like 3 years going to be like really interesting, because this whole language is being built right now, and who's going to take ownership of it? We don't really know.
Yeah, I think that's cool that all these companies are trying to make this next sort of experience, this next iteration. I think competition breeds innovation, but it is kind of one of those things where I wonder, from Apple's perspective, they waited so long to get into this space, right? And I think there's an advantage to that in the sense that they've been able to learn, right, from the Oculus and HoloLens and all these other things that have come out. But now they're kind of starting from the bottom in terms of creating their own mixed reality experience, whereas you guys have kind of been building towards this for a while, it seems like.
Oh yeah, I mean, Meta created this an Oculus,
Right.
especially. I mean, Oculus is being, it's been bought by Meta some time ago, obviously, but Oculus and Meta is basically that. I don't think any other company will match this kind of culture that is there, because Oculus is, it's a giant of VR for years, and there is always going to be like a value in there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really say that Apple will be on like a lower position to enter
Hmm.
later, because they always do that, like with smartphones as well. Like they were never the first one um, to create a device. Like they were always the ones to make it sexy in a way.
Right. Right.
So they will do that probably. Like
Yeah.
they would just go in, make it super sexy and super usable, and everyone will jump on it. So, and they will obviously get the best people from the market because they have the money. Like their stock price is, going high and high, rising and rising. So, but still, like Meta is that it's, the Meta's risking its life. The life is on the line. So it's like there is certain like there is a certain amount of respect I have for Meta for just risking it all. And people meme it into like, oh god, people just meme it. So
Yeah.
vicious,
Into
but
oblivion.
it is it's so funny though.
Yeah.
So it does look a bit ugly, I have to admit. But the thing is, like, people compare it to like Fortnite and Roblox and like Minecraft and like Fortnite. Fortnite looks pretty cool, I have
Hmm.
to admit. But the thing is, Fortnite is a close, it's a close orbit basically. It's a one environment, one type of environment.
Yeah. It's a select
And
audience as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The interaction model is like way easier. Like what Meta's trying to do right now, from what I gather, is to create a unified language. And this is what I'm trying to do as well. And this is what like startups like FitXR is trying to do as well. To create a unified language of moving through and inside mixed reality, which is not going to be like distant for one app. It's a whole language that we will speak in every day, and it's going to go across the board with everything. It's like an alphabet we'll be all speaking. So this is like way harder. And the meme about the legs, and about like Mark being an alien and all this stuff, it's kind of funny. But like the legs are not there because we can't track the legs. So every interaction that involves legs is basically estimated, like we
Is
can't
is
track
that
it.
why the Horizon? We had a couple people on from Meta who worked on the Horizon game. Is that why they don't have legs? Because you can't track it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's funny. Because I always wonder, it's like, where are their bodies? Where are their bodies? Like I've always wondered that. I never had the gumption to ask either, because I was like, I don't want to like offend the people who are on here who work at Meta, like be like, where are their legs? But now that makes total sense.
No, it's just like you can't track, because basically the cameras, like in the Quest Pro, the
Yeah.
cameras are on the head,
Hmm.
and you also have the cameras on the controllers, which is a new thing, which is amazing actually. So you can track the hands like in a really good way.
Right.
You can track the face. You can track the face expressions to a certain like pretty good degree. But like the legs, you have to put like a bracelet on your ankles or something like that, or like additional cameras. Because when you look the other way, like the cameras don't see the stuff that you leave on the side of your body, because like you're not looking there. So the legs, like that I can't use the legs, like it's coming, apparently it's like coming out, that we saw it in the Connect this year, but I personally I don't design for leg tracking because I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense now. What do you think about in terms of like, you think there will be a competition between Oculus and mixed reality in terms of, are people are going to, buyers having to make a decision potentially on getting one or the other? Is that a concern at all for you?
Like, okay, so I can get a little bit like deep philosophical
Please.
about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. This is amazing. Okay, so
This is your therapy
um
session. Let it all out.
oh yeah, oh my god. Like I mean, I love to go like into like deep analysis, like something like sociology, psychology, like UX, and like in general human condition of virtual reality, because it's like, like we have to answer these questions before we went all matrix, because then like there is no return. Like we go to do some when we go ahead and do something really stupid, then the human society collapses, and like that's not great. Uh so
Yeah.
that would be like that would really suck. So yeah, so like it's good to think about this stuff from like a human condition point of view, because it's like the sooner we get this like kind of figured out, then the sooner we would basically won't do the mistake. So yeah, so basically like why I think mixed reality will be the thing to be more popular in everyday life and generally, like that's going to be probably the part of our fabric of reality going forward, like mixed reality, because it's like like from what I talk with people online and like real life, and with people I work with, and like with people who are just tourists in VR, or they hate it, because there is a lot of people who like who really passionately hate it, and I get it in a way, because there it is like pretty weird and pretty like dystopian in a way, but and like probably we should be aware of it, all of us. But the main critique is that first of all, like we will replace the reality with something worse, and people just don't want that. And the other thing is, it's like the human connection will disappear. And I will actually say, personal opinion again, that mixed reality solves both of these problems. Like you want to leave the reality behind because it's mixed, like you need both. And then you won't leave the human connection behind because it's mixed, like you just enhancing certain things, you're just making certain things possible. That this is all like I think that people just, this is the miscommunication problem I was like wondering about. We were talking last time as well.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of understanding. I think it's just like a gut reaction. When you're presented with this headset and you see people with the headset on, it's like you immediately think, "Oh, disconnected from the rest of the world." They're not thinking about the context in which it could be used.
Yeah, so it doesn't really, like people basically like grew up like people who grew up in the 90s like watched a lot of dystopian science fiction
Oh yeah,
movies, and we all kind
Terminator,
of yeah,
Matrix. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Terminate, like yeah, Marcus Skynet, and like Matrix,
Right.
the Oculus is Matrix, and it's just like we kind of like have it coded in, which I think is a good thing in a way, because we're avoiding the total distraction because we're cautious. And like you need a certain wisdom like personal maturity to see the cons and pros. And I would say that probably like it might be a bad idea to give it to like small children, but it's like the social aspect of it, because if you go to VR chat, there is like some like unhinged stuff happening there, and everyone is 12. So that's, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. But generally, like the whole concept of mixed reality, I think that basically cures all the critiques that people have, because like who doesn't want to have the world that you always wanted to, but you only could imagine, and now you can actually have it? Like who doesn't want that? Like it's basically it's a no-brainer. Like you can have control over your environment, like you can have your thoughts in front of you. Like this is the pinnacle of human connection. Like let's just show ourselves what we really want, what we really think. Like it isn't it just like the main goal of like creation?
Right. Yeah, I think creation's inherent in all of us. And what's something that you would like to create for mixed reality that doesn't exist yet? How can you really push that forward? How can you make that an essential part of our lives in the sense that, not only will we want to do something like that, we need to do something like that.
So, example of what I'm working on right now, um, which is a really interesting project. It basically focuses on like how a body can be active in mixed reality, and like human body and the space around you interaction. So, and I think this is like the foundation of the alphabet I was talking about, like the language of interaction for mixed reality. Like this is probably going to start from how human body and how human face in certain instances like behaves. So um, if you think about like how humans use use their bodies, and like how we move around the world, and how we move into our like social interactions, and like how we do certain tasks, um, many of it is like non-physical these days. So in a way uh, that's why I love mixed reality so much, because it's like for certain people, like for I think for most people who are kind of like participating in culture these days, like the virtual me is more important than the physical me already, and there is no going back probably. Like your internet presence and your like social media presence, and how you it's basically like your business card. Like it's so much more important than what you do like at home. um and mixed reality can actually bridge the two, and this is what I'm kind of like aiming to work on, to basically bridge the two in a way, and like really take into consideration the human body, because it's like that's why I wanted to work for a startup that actually is connected to fitness. Like it's a like FitXR is a fitness startup, and this is like the main thing I do right now. And it's actually great, because this is another concern that we all kind of scared of, that we won't be moving ever again. And it's like the opposite. Like we will be moving like way more. Like seriously, trust me. There will be a lot of more possibility and chance for like actually doing stuff by moving instead of just sitting and looking. uh like isn't that great?
Yeah, and it seems like so with this game, it's or you call it a game. What do you call it? Is it technically a game, or would you
It
call it
is.
something else?
Oh, it is a game.
It is a game,
It is
yeah. So I was looking through it, and so it's got three modes: boxing mode, dance mode, hit mode. Um, and you got multiplayer, and looks fun. But I mean, you're talking about like how the body moves and things like that. Like when you're dealing with having to track someone's movements and things like that, and really thinking about how that's going to work. How'd you guys create that? How did you guys create that experience to ensure that when someone's moving, when someone's punching or dancing or whatever, that you guys are tracking them accurately enough to the point where people are able to have a good time, not only just exercising, but just from an experience standpoint?
Yeah, so basically, I work with like fitness pros, uh, engineers, and I'm the designer and creative director. So what we do is like it needs to be legit. So you actually have to use your body like in a proper way from the fitness point of view, and
You
this is
can't
like
cheat it.
no, I mean you can in a certain. I mean if you like okay, so this is like pretty funny, but the more you know about VR, the more you can cheat it because you know how, and it's quite fun. Because like if I actually design this stuff, I can go in and actually just like get this my score way higher without ever lifting a leg or a hand. But I think like people who actually don't really care or don't know, like it's quite hard to cheat it. So it's actually like a legit fitness device. But yeah, and it's like one of these things that it's just made so much better because of virtual and mixed reality. Because why would you struggle and go somewhere and be bored, or organize some kind of elaborate thing with your friends when you can just like pop this on and then do it, have fun, meet some people, there is a multiplayer, and just do your thing. And it isn't that fantastic. Like I'm seriously, I'm really biased, but I think like extended reality is like low-key saving the world.
Like I think the big thing for me, just speaking as a consumer player, I don't like the headset stuff. Like I think it's cool what can be created, but having to wear the headset's just annoying to me. Like I wish I could experience it without having to deal with the headset. And I know that's not really possible right now, but that's just something that's always kind of turned me off from VR or uh, XR, as you're talking about now.
I think it's like a lot of people think that in general, and I think that too. But I'm kind of like focused enough to ignore it. But I don't think like a general customer or general person. Like I mean, like if you ask someone random, like just on the internet, like it is Quest 2 comfortable? No, it's really not. The Quest Pro is pretty comfortable, but it's still not like we're not going to be running around with this thing on all day. Like it's not tangible. Like we all know it, but it's getting there. And I was just like scouting YouTube a couple of days ago, and there is this startup that is prototyping contact lenses for mixed reality, and I was like, yeah, this is great. So a couple of more years probably, and we all be like chipped and you know uh, integrated.
I mean, that's cool, but it's also kind of scary. I don't know. That's sort of like I could be more. I remember Google. Remember Google tried to do those glasses a while ago. That just sort of they didn't really work as like the Google glasses or whatever. I don't know if that would. I'd be more interested in that than a contacts and actually putting something physically into my body.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is an option for like um just spectacles, and this is what like couple of companies are doing, but the technology is not as advanced. It's mainly AR. So mixed reality as something that is way deeper in terms of interaction. Like the processor is just not good enough because you need some space for it, and it's just like like it's very like down to earth stuff. Like it's you just have to have some space for the battery, for the processor. Like I mean this thing is, I like it so much because the battery is on the back, and that's why it's so much more comfortable than Quest 2. Because Quest 2, there is this brick on your face just like shifting around, and it's just yeah, it is really annoying in a way, and especially for like active stuff like gaming, fitness, like adventure. And so yeah, great thing that Quest Pro was dropped, because it really like it is worth it. It's so much lighter, but it's not the thing that's gonna be like an everyday everyone using it. It's not there yet, but it's still a great progress though.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely trending in the right direction, I think. So when you're creating these game modes and these different exercises, how closely are you working with fitness instructors to make sure you're getting it right, that you're actually delivering something that's going to be beneficial to the user?
Oh no, we work really closely. Like it's always actually like a legit thing that you will will give you the results. I mean, like what's the point of doing anything in alternative reality if it doesn't work better or at least as good as the reality you have right now anyway. So to move people to extended realities, we have to give them something so much better with the same benefits. So, the example of fitness or example of entertainment, like why would you change to something that is new, kind of risky, kind of weird, and doesn't really give you the same results, and it's not better in some really important way? Um, so that's a challenge too, because it has to work physically, but it has to have this layer of something extra, whatever that might be. Different things for different apps.
And what was kind of like one of the bigger challenges you ran into with making this game?
Usually for me, it's like the interactions and if they can actually be built. So it's basically the what you wish for and what you can get. Which is probably most products, like most digital products and most software in general. Um, and obviously, the tracking of the human body is very important. And this is usually what I design for, like how a human body can move into the mixed reality space. Um, so it's very natural for the person. They don't see really that they're like being tracked, uh, but it still does the job, that scores the points we want them to score. So, for example, like it's a very important thing in mixed reality to use the space around you. So it's a little bit of a Easter egg hunt in your house, or like uh, you know looking for something in the woods, like spotting stuff in the woods. So you have to listen, look, and notice things, and follow the cues in a way. But you're using the whole space you have accessible to you, so your body will move around way more than in virtual reality. Because virtual reality, you can just sit in your chair and you can do like almost most of the things. But mixed reality is very very physical for from a definition. So we will be actually using our bodies in this space a lot. And now it's like, how do you design the interface around it? Like, do we merge it? Do we put something around your hands? Do we put something around your head? Or do we, you know, open these patches of reality inside your reality? And how human body reacts to it and how you react to it cognitively. There are like a lot of questions, like how reading signals from your environment versus how your mind reads it and how your body reacts to it. It's not that obvious if you go like deeper into it. Like there is a certain layer of human biology on top of it, connected to gaming UX.
Yeah, I'm sure your own reactions, right, play a big role in how things are designed.
Yeah. I tested on myself, but not only myself, but like yeah, but it's quite and even testing it, like when you design something and then you can actually test it, is very very different. It's like surprising every time.
Yeah, it feels like something either can sometimes get lost in translation from the design to the execution, or something emerges. That's always one of my favorite things, is when there's like that emergent play factor where someone uses a mechanic you've designed in a way that you didn't intend, but is really cool.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like surprising UX.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Were there any examples of that on this game?
Surprising UX. Well, I would say that one of my favorite like devices is portals. So you can do like really a lot with a portal because it's just like it's one of these like main alphabet of mixed reality letters. Like letter one is a portal, and yeah, you can do a lot of it. So um, like you can connect realities from a portal, and you can give the users certain objects they will need to use to complete an action through a portal, or you can show them something else through a portal. So it's like this is quite surprising because people just use it in a very different ways from user to user. And like this breaking of reality with virtual objects, uh, it's very interesting to see people like in natural environment to just go in and use it, because I don't really think that we should be leading them 100% through an experience. uh, it should be something like um, environment exploration in a way.
Yeah, let people discover and learn on their own a little bit.
Yeah, like open world gaming a little bit, but it's your room or it's your garden. So there is this layer of familiarity to it as well. Or like it's a public space. In the future, that will be like a public space, for example. So we need to take into consideration that, oh, this is like an actual physical space. Like it's not, like Skyrim, just go into the mountains and just hang out there in the woods, but it's like an actual physical space, and like what can we do with it? um yeah, but still the free exploration of it, it's one of the most interesting things, to how to let the user to roam freely but still get to the goal.
So how do you compensate for that though? How do you think about, okay, where's this person going to be playing this?
What do you mean?
Oh, like, if we're talking about they're playing it in their living room, or they're playing it bedroom or whatever, right? Does that have any effect on like how you're designing something in terms of thinking about where players could possibly be when they're playing it? Like maybe if they don't have as much space, sort of thing.
Like this is one of the hardest challenges for multiplayer or like social experiences. So it's like you have some, like for example, like a good example is a VR chat. VR chat is like probably the biggest shared experience for VR right now. And VR is easier because it's like you can sit in one place in your physical room, and you can go around in your virtual room. You can run around basically. But for mixed reality is a little bit like it doesn't make sense. You can do it, but it doesn't really make sense to do it. So shared experiences for mixed reality are like another big thing, because every person has a different room, let's say, but they all meet in the meta room, and it's shared. So, how do we design it for, like I'm in a big space, someone is like in a even bigger space, and someone is like in a really small space, and we all have the same shared experience. And the whole point of the experience is to move around. So this is again like one of the most interesting design challenges. I mean, I usually live in London, so like Oxford Circus, like it's packed with people, and they all have their little bubble of mixed reality. Is it shared? Can you just access it? Can you like chip into someone else's reality? Do you have your own bubble? Like it's not that obvious to think about it.
No, and then like security. What's security like with that as
Yeah.
well?
Oh, this is like a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Security and like security and social behavior, like social,
personal space.
yeah, personal space, like what's allowed. Do we like, tolerate like dick behaviors? Like what doesn't even mean? Because it's so physical suddenly. Like it's not just like a mean YouTube comment section. Like the comment section can actually like, come up to you.
Right.
Yeah, so couple of different interesting challenges that we're still kind of like sitting on it and like solving it, and it's not that obvious, and it takes so much time. Like I probably should have just gone to video games, like just I will have it like at least it will be straightforward.
There's less of a precedent for what you're doing for sure. You're kind of figuring it out as you're making things.
Yeah, which is awesome, like kind of stressful.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Is there anything else planned for FitXR in terms of expanding upon those three modes or adding new classes and things like that?
First of all, like the thing I'm working on right now, mixed reality. Mixed reality is a big thing for uh probably like most apps that use some kind of like physical activity or productivity. So like the big thing is Horizon, which some people like, some people don't like. It's getting there. It's fine. Um, and for FitXR is definitely mixed reality. There is a new studio coming up very soon that is like an iteration of like a more advanced, let's say, version of a very popular studio, like the most popular one right now. And there is another one coming in months. Um, and there is like recently we added some like really exciting features, like for example like multiplayers, meta avatars, so you can actually see your avatar when you do stuff, other people like next to you. And it's updating the existing gameplay as well, like all the time, which yeah, it's fast updating up, and it's in general like pretty good place to be. But yeah, I'm biased for mixed reality, and that's going to be amazing. And Meta is basically just really, really, really taking care of mixed reality right now, and pushing for it pretty hard. Like it's obvious that this is the big thing.
What's the reception been like from your players?
First of all, like you'll probably be surprised that most of the players are not like teenage boys.
Oh no, I'm not surprised at all. This is a fitness game,
Oh,
so
that's
yeah.
great. Yeah, that's great. It's usually like adults that want to like simplify their life, which is great because it's like that means that it's going mainstream. It's not just Gen Z. It yeah. So the reception is actually like pretty good, and it's getting better every day because it's we're getting more information, more and more information. The engineering is getting like more advanced, and we're solving problems. And I think it's for for all extended reality applications. Like we're all going through like some kind of like a weird renaissance right now, that we're all learning a lot, and it's like rapidly improving. Like next year it's going to be like something like way different, way better. And I really like listening to people that say like I hated doing something in a traditional way, and now I love it because I have fun. And that's it's just like we all love to have fun. Like what's the point of doing something if you're like really forcing yourself to do it? Like let's just have some fun. Like let's make the world easier, more more entertaining, more controlled in a way that we want to. And this is like the best to hear from users, probably like, oh, I actually managed to do something because you guys like made it better than reality.
Has there been like specific feedback you've gotten that has improved the game?
So I think that there is a lot of feedback like that for little things, for like, oh, this interaction was kind of weird to do, or like this could be improved. And there are people who are actually like really involved in like developing of this technology right now. So certain users are really, really like invested in it. If you have a community around an app, which um, yeah, that helps a lot because there are people who are like really, really invested and really, give you the feedback even if you don't ask about it. Because I can probably I can't probably say anything like specific about mixed reality with the user testing because it's not out for the users yet. But I know that, for example, with VR boxing, there was a lot of suggestions that were taken like straight from Facebook group and just made into the game. So it's like a very like social experiment in a way.
Yeah, that's got to be beneficial too, especially with a live app like that to continually get feedback on what you're doing and what should happen, how to make it better, how to improve it. And I think too, it's smart to only have like three modes because it's a more focused experience as opposed to trying to make, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 different modes. It seems like that would just be just overwhelming, especially if it's a live app and you got to maintain all of those different modes.
Well, I think that's why the boxing is like I was actually thinking about it a couple of like days ago. Like, why is boxing so popular? Because it's the focus. And in general, like in gaming, like the focus is the most the best you can get from the user. Like um and again, like in mixed reality, because this is like what I'm on right now, like the focus is very different than in VR. Because it's in VR, like you have these cues in front of you, you have the whole environment taken over, there is this beautiful visual everywhere, you're immersed 100%, and you just focus on this one thing in front of you. And that's how it works, like that's why it works. So it basically takes you out of your reality and put something like very simple and very repetitive but still engaging enough so you do it, like you've really really focused on it. And that's, again, that's like the um challenge for mixed reality. You don't really get that, like you don't get full immersion, and you don't get really like stay in one place and focus on one thing. Not for the physical and active stuff anyway, maybe for productivity, but less so than in VR. So how do you get users to this like godlike focus mode we all love, uh, when your environment is not immersed? Like if you're not really focused on one thing, because you have to listen and learn um, from your environment. Again, another thing that is not that straightforward.
Is there anything you want to do in this, continue to work in this space, or do you want to branch out and do something else? What do you want to do in the future?
Oh, I think it's for sure mixed reality. Um, yeah, I yeah, in any form that makes sense. But the well, I think the physical activity focused apps have the advantage of really hitting the important pressure points of MR, because it is really focused on like you know moving and exploring the space, and this is what they do, like from a definition. So it's actually like a really good place to test out new stuff, and it takes so much time, and sometimes it's like something just doesn't work. But this is like the best subject to test on. So I'm not complaining at all. And yeah, but mixed reality all the way. Like generally what we hear from the industry is like everyone is really um going into the future with this mixed plan. It's not like virtuality is not that hot. The mixed is the big thing. And I think people just like kind of got this impression that it's more usable. So yeah, I'll just go with it.
Cool. Well, yeah, look forward to seeing what you do with it. And thanks again for stopping by, and best of luck with development. I mean, I think it's really, even though I've never been like a big VR fan, I think the whole you've educated me a lot on what this mixed reality thing could be, and it sounds like it could really, I don't know, it could really take us to places we never conceived of.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. That was really interesting. And like this is it's really great to be able to talk about it a little bit, because my friends are really sick of me at this point. So really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Glad to give you an outlet. All right, that's going to wrap up our show for this week. We want to thank Agata again for being our guest. To find out more about Mudstack, head over to mudstack.com, where you can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and join our community on Discord. And of course, we want to thank you for listening. We'll see you next time on Clear as Mud.